Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining the CIO Summit 2020. I think obviously this is unique times, and certainly appreciate everyone taking their time. I wanted to start with a question, which I think is a fundamental question we all have to ask ourselves, which is, why are we here? I mean, beyond the fact that you received an email, you signed up, you registered, you blocked off the time on your calendar, and I don't want to get too philosophical either. I think, we can't really solve the question of why do we exist all in a day, nor should we really try and do it in a few hours as a fool's errand. But I found myself asking that question, why are we here? Why even have a CIO summit? Why do we do these events in the first place? It seems like a whole lot of effort. It seems like a whole lot of time and energy. We're asking a lot of people to spend an entire day to have content and have conversations. And I think that, for me, especially in the context of virtual, normally it's an easy answer for me to say. I do these events because I love to see you all. It's a good chance to catch up with everyone. It's a good chance to meet new people, to build an ecosystem, learn from one another, get a chance to actually kind of tactically, press flesh, shake hands, be able to have all the taste and smell and touch and feel all the things that I think we can't do as successfully when it's virtual. Those are the things I've always associated with our summits. So why are we here? Why are we here today? I think fundamentally we are social creatures. If I look at kind of the merits of old, outdated philosophy, but yet still relevant, Hobbes, Locke, all of the concepts, and whether or not it's the idea that we're social because we're bound to some universal social contract, or we have the ability to discover our natural rights through the freedom that happens by being social and in context of other people, or merely it's because we're forming tribes and social groups to protect our own selfish security against a life that's nasty, brutish, and short. But I think ultimately, regardless of which side of that debate you fall on, we've created social groups in order to persist. We are in a position in time where that level of social needs to continue, and this is our way to do that. William Faulkner was a famous American author back in the time of horrid monstrosities, the Civil War, the dark and depressing times, and all of his works, all of his writing was very dark and depressing. It's maybe the only time he was actually uplifting was when he accepted his Nobel laureate speech, which was a kind of rather challenging time in 1949, if you think of it even just being right after World War II, decimated by war and depression. But his acceptance speech said, "Man will endure." Pronouns aside, his glimmering spirit of hope was that despite the atom bomb, despite being near annihilation at any given moment, and despite all of the massively depressing times that he had written about and talked about before, he always had this kind of concept that humanity will press on. I've always liked a quote by Calvin Coolidge, which is attributed to the concept of press on. Nothing in the world will take the place of persistence. The slogan press on has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. And that's why we're here. We're here because we need to press on. We must always work together. We must always find ways to collaborate. It's why we as a society have built organizations in a social contract. We built companies. We built machines. All of these things in our own likeness. All of these things in our own human element. Today's topic is the same topic it has been for the past couple of years now, which is the concept of digital evolution, and certainly not unheard that the revolution part of that, or the R at the front, is something that is coming and is a part of our day-to-day. Last year, I got up on a physical stage in person, back in the times when you could do that type of thing, and I stuck a flag in the ground saying digital transformation is dead on arrival. I think the concept and the term is misleading at best and a misnomer altogether. We can't talk about transformation in the context of digital transformation without recognizing that we're not actually transforming. I think we ascribe that high level of major change to the projects that we put in place because it's the only way to get attention. It's the only way for people to hear what we're saying. And I think now that we're in a life at a time where crisis surrounds us, those are the types of things where if we said, hey, we're transforming, people would hear. But I think in reality, we've been on the path of digital evolution for a very long time. And we continue to be, as a digital evolution usher, as somebody who is providing the pathways for an organization to evolve in a now digital world, That's how we endure. Whether it's the fact that we've had to adopt and do more in e-commerce because our retail stores are closed, whether it's because we've been able to work from home because of the way that we're able to do things remotely using technology. This is a time and an age where technology will be recognized as the enabler for evolution. Our organizations are all built roughly like humans. And so the parallel that we're drawing today is to actually create and understand what are those factors that we can learn from at an evolutionary scale. If you think about the context of an organization, you have an executive team, maybe that's representative of the brain. You have arms and legs of operations and supply chain. You have blood and guts that live within our every single company. All of those components that we built those companies and these organizational structures from a social perspective, all in the same way that our human bodies have been built. And so when we talk about the evolutionary factors that affect species over the course of hundreds of millions of years, I think we see a much smaller and tighter scale of the evolutionary factors that affect us in a day-to-day as organizations, as businesses. And we must press on as organizations, as businesses. We're here because we're social. We're here because we've adapted to what's necessary to evolve as business. So digital evolution is what has allowed us to actually focus on these types of new ways of doing business, new ways of enabling employees, and it's not over. And I think that's the biggest issue. When we talk about transformation, we assume that there's a beginning and there's an end. The reality is, in evolution, we need to constantly change, constantly evolve, constantly adapt. This is the most exciting time that we'll have the chance to be a part of, probably in our entire lives. The age-old quote from Winston Churchill comes to mind: never let a perfectly good crisis go to waste. And I think this is that time where digital evolution can come into its own. We're in the middle of it. When history books report what we do, it will be about how technology changed the landscape of digital evolution of humanity. That's where we're at. That's why we're here. This is about you as technology leaders enabling your companies, enabling your employees to have those evolutionary pathways, whether it's adaptation, mutation, whether it's the immunosystem of the organization. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. It's about connecting. We have some amazing content. We have these principles of evolution. We have this concept of survival of the fittest. We'll talk about adapting to customer need. We'll talk about the evolution of the workplace. We'll talk about the future of work, the resiliency of leadership. We'll talk about how the DNA of business has fundamentally changed even from 6 months ago, or from a year ago, or from 10 years ago. But we will not be talking about it alone. The goal of today is for all of you to be able to engage with one another, interactive sessions. We've divided the day into very kind of distinct pieces where we can have interactive boardrooms, roundtables, virtual exhibit halls, the chance to have Q&A, even one-on-one networking. We want to mirror as much of that original experience of these in-person events that we've been able to host in the same way online. And that is really the key to the innovation. That is the key of where we're going to land as an organization, as a species, and in the context of digital evolution. You all should have received a CIO Summit portal login. That login will be your window to breakout sessions where you can have more interactive boardrooms, one-on-one networking, direct messages with other attendees. Those are the similar kind of water cooler conversations. It's a chance to meet old friends, catch up with new friends, do everything in between. I think having the roundtables around the various topics will allow us to meet in smaller peer groups. We also have a wonderful digital exhibit hall. The digital exhibit hall, I think, is a good chance for you to browse some of the innovation happening in the marketplace. And these are also parts of the same digital evolution ecosystem. And I'd love to thank our sponsors, everyone for joining, for making this possible. I'd love to thank everyone who could be a part of it today, because we want to keep this social. We are social creatures. Require this level of interaction, this ecosystem, this value at a level to be able to have this conversation today. And to look at today and to look at what's going on, it's not a setback, but as an opportunity for growth, for new types of social interactions. So we as an organization, we as a community, we as those who have been able to attend in the past and those who haven't been able to attend in the past, we will press on and we will endure.